Good evening, you sickos, you sadists, you Boilermakers. It's Friday, November 22nd, 11:55 p.m. It's Purdue's. We're on the eve. We're on 6 days out. What? No, 7 days out. Almost 7 days out from the somewhat merciful end of the season, I guess, just to get this thing over with. Purdue's fallen yet again, this time in East Lansing. That's their 10th straight loss. 10th straight loss. When you say it that way, it sounds bad. But when you've watched it all season, it's worse. Thanks to our sponsors all season. And as we head into basketball season, you'll see me again tomorrow after the noontime tip-off, unless something comes up. I should be here talking about Purdue versus Marshall, which is on Big Ten Network Minus. But you'll see me twice this weekend at least. And who knows, maybe third time if we get some news on Sunday. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to Home Field Apparel. Head over to homefieldapparel.com. Right now, they've got a really big sale. Check out their Twitter feed. I don't know what the code is, but they have a specific code. And I'm going to go away from the Boiled Sports thing. Boiled 25 at any time. You'll get 15% off your first purchase. But right now, head over to their Twitter feed. Look for the code. I believe they have it on there. 30% off, I think, this weekend. I think it's the equivalent of their Black Friday sale. So you should do that if you haven't. If you need some gear, you should go there. And they've got platinum packs. They got the coaches' jackets. They've got a lot of cool stuff. And I would highly suggest taking advantage of that sale. That's a good one. And of course, when you're frustrated because your Boilermakers have fought and clawed but didn't get it done, what do? You come out of Ross-Ade and maybe you jog, maybe you sprint, maybe you walk, but you head towards that fire station in an orderly fashion. Say, excuse me, if you're going to run into anyone on the sidewalk. When you get to that fire station, turn left. You're going to see the glowing blue lights of AJ's. And inside, you're going to find the nicest darn people in the whole campus in Greater West Lafayette. And on top of those nice people being there, you're going to also find delicious, delicious vittles. You're going to find mac and cheese bites. You're going to find the delicious pretzel, which nobody makes it like they do. Sauces. They've had some special sauces the last few weeks. Italian beef, burgers, just killer stuff in there. Killer stuff. You can't go wrong. And if you see Adam, just give him a hug. Tell him you appreciate him because he's a beautiful, beautiful man. Burgers, beef, beer. That's AJ's. EatAJ's.com. They're my favorite. They should be yours. And if you go there, big news. I got this straight from the horse's mouth this week. If you go there, they've just reordered the Boiled Sports magnets at the bottom of the beer. So if you didn't get one yet, there's going to be more coming. They ran through them. Many. I mean, seriously, I'm not going to give you all the details because I don't know if I should. But I can tell you they're almost to the end of their supply of Boiled Sports magnets at the bottom of the pint. So grab a pint. Okay, let's talk. Let's talk about football. So for a half, it felt kind of like Purdue football, right? At the end of the first quarter, right? Early in the second quarter, Purdue was down 17-3 after some missed opportunities. To start the game, Purdue had one of the best drives, I'd say in the top 5 drives all season, because there's been so few good drives, honestly. But one of the best drives of the season. They go right down the field. It stalls out. They get a field goal to start the game. And it felt weird. It felt different because just having an offense that looked like they knew what they were doing. Everything that we said to do during the handsome hour, I am not kidding. They did it in that first drive. If you go back and you watch that drive, if you're a glutton for punishment, you're that much of a sicko, again, you would see Purdue doing what we requested. Get the ball out of Hud's hands quickly. Utilize Max Clare as much as you can. Get the ball in Maccabee's hands any way possible. And they did all of it. And guess what it did? They just shredded MSU's defense until the drive stalled down inside the 10. I think it was inside the 10. And then they kicked a field goal. Not a bad start, but you can't exchange 7 for 3, right? Later, Purdue drove down the field, had a bad hold, missed the field goal, and I was like, oh, here we go. This feels like what we felt all season. And they went into halftime down, what? Were they down 21? think they're down 21. I think that's right, 77-24. Yeah, they're down 21 at the half. I'll double check my work here in a second. But they were down 21 at the half. I'm almost positive of it. And it felt like, oh, crap, here we are. We're doing what we do every game. And in the second half, though, Purdue showed fight, like legit fight. Some things that all season have been a problem looked like they had changed. Meaning, for instance, one big one was the receivers were playing great. I mean, and not just wide receivers. Well, Rigby, his mom used to come on here regularly. I don't know if she does anymore, but he had a big catch to keep a drive going. He sat down in the zone right in the middle of the field. Big catch. You had, I'm trying to think. Let me think of all of them. Tibbs had a big catch in the left corner. Edrin had a circus grab. He had a couple really good catches. I'm not going to focus on the bad one just yet. We all know what I'm talking about. Max Clare was awesome. Drew Bibber, great catch. And Maccabee maybe had the catch of the game. In the left corner was a awesome toe tap left foot catch on about the 4, and it led directly to Purdue scoring 2 plays later. I think Maccabee scored. I think it was Maccabee who scored. But Purdue's offense had a pulse. I mean, legit pulse. They had 2 good drives in the second half again, like good drives. And on top of that, the defense was playing well. It was weird. And part of this, let's call it what it is. I think Michigan State I don't know if this is true, but I've watched them do this a couple times this season where they just run out of gas. They compete for a half and they run out of gas, and they looked like they had hit a wall. And here's one of the indicators you knew Michigan State had hit a wall. HUD had time. And this is something the offensive line has had a problem with all season. They don't give Hudson Card any time, right? He actually had time to make reads, make passes, make plays. He had a couple passes that were just on the money. It was the Hudson Card that I told Jay this too. It was the Hudson Card that Jay Money dreamt about. He was that Hudson Card all day, creating time, moving the pocket a little bit, keeping his eyes downfield, hitting guys in stride. Really, really good version of Hudson Card. And the really, really interesting thing is he crossed over for 300 yards for only the second time in his career at Purdue. GBI and Tom Dainert talked about that stat last week. I couldn't believe it. He had only had 300 yards one time in his Purdue career, and he got his second 300-yard game today, and Purdue came up short. But the really lousy thing, I think most Purdue fans are going to remember more than anything, which is kind of sad because Jamal Edrin played a great game. He really did, with one exception. He had a completely blown catch. And I don't think I know Edrin's not that young, so it's okay. And he got paid some NIL money to come here. And I know a lot of Purdue fans rightfully will be critical, but I was so happy to see a resilient Purdue. Number one, they fought, a team that competed, and the wide receivers playing so damn well. Oh, how about this on defense? 2 sacks. Unbelievable. And they had a turnover that was taken away for no damn reason by the officials. Literally, Thieneman had an interception taken away. It was a really, really bad pass interference, a slight amount of contact. The officiating was Big Ten officiating. It was bad, but they made the right call in that Maccabee play after review. But an interception was taken away. And the reason that's so noteworthy, Purdue just doesn't turn teams over. And so Thieneman got that interception, and it was taken away moments later. And I believe that's the play where Walters had to be held back and was pointing in the official's face. I thought legitimately, which you don't see a lot, you could have seen him get thrown out. It was that bad. Unless he was just telling him how great he was at his job while he was pointing at him and having other officials hold him back. He was pissed. There was also almost a fight. I mean, this game had some fun stuff. It was like real football. And that's what I'm like, that's progress. I mean, you've got dudes playing pissed off. You've got guys making plays. But Purdue falls short again. They lose their 10th straight. You are getting into very, very deep, I wouldn't say rare air. Let's go the other way. Very deep, murky, dark waters, like deepest part of the ocean type water. a place where no sunlight gets to, a dark, sad place. To lose 10 straight is incredible. To lose 11 straight is downright horrible, horrendous. Sadly, Purdue's chances to get victories this year because of the, number one, the combination of two things. One, not a good football team. Two, played lots of good football teams. So a game like Michigan State, a game like Oregon State, a game like Northwestern. There's not many there where you're like, okay, they match up. You could say Illinois maybe. They match up with this team okay, right? There's aren't a lot of those games. And Purdue didn't take advantage of those games, and that on top of being one of the worst football teams I've ever seen in Purdue uniform. Purdue is 1-10 right now. So let's look at the stats together, and then we'll talk. Final score, 24-17. Michigan State wins. They improved to 5-6. They need to win their next game to get in a bowl game. They were playing for something today, no doubt. But in the second half, it's all Purdue. Like I said, Purdue was down 24-3 at the end of the second quarter. In the second half, they won the second half. Easy. They went 14-0 in the second half, and I know 14-0 winning a second half. If you're looking for moral victories, this is the moral list of moral victories. Can't even moral win a whole game, but you moral victory a second half. Well, you really won a second half, but I think you get my drift. Those receivers, I want to give them credit again. Jamal Edrin, he had 5. Should have had 6 catches. He had 5 catches for 87 yards, and if he gets that other one, he may have had, another 80 yards. Because I think that was thrown from the 20. But, man, he would have had, a legit, national story type game, where, ESPN and Fox talk about it tomorrow. Instead, he finished with 5 catches, 87 yards. So 6 catches and 165 yards or whatever and a touchdown. That's a huge game. But he almost had a great catch, too. He had a couple great plays. He played well. It's a shame. He played like I thought he was going to play. Was it last year when he was ruled out because of his injury? That's what I thought we'd get right out of the chute from Edrin because of his size and his just big possession reception potential. But he's a better athlete than just a possession receiver. You just saw it today. We saw it for the first time. I'm going to give him some flowers for that, and I'm not kidding. No sarcasm. Max Clare was once again excellent. If you saw that quote by Max Clare after the last game, kind of rips your heart out watching him play like he did today. 7 receptions, 83 yards, touchdown. Jerron Tibbs had an acrobatic grab, the Cathedral product. I'm a Cathedral grad too. I've always liked Tibbs. He had 4 receptions, 73 yards, no touchdowns. Maccabee, 4 receptions, 47 yards. They gave him the ball. Let's see. On top of his 4 receptions, he had 9 carries. Still not enough touches, in my opinion, if I'm going to be real critical. And I'm going to be real critical. Him only getting 13 touches for as good as he is, I guess it's obviously more than anybody else. But at the same time, it's not enough. And I mean that. Love was okay. Love didn't do much. Purdue, at the end here, this is a good stat. I forgot to talk about it. At the end of the first half, Purdue had -7 yards rushing. Purdue finishes the game. This is unbelievable. I hadn't seen this. Purdue finishes the game. You ready for this? You sitting down? -4 yards rushing. Yeah. Incredible. And this is a funny thing because I think many Purdue fans thought running the ball was the strongest thing about this team all year. Michigan State took that away from Purdue, kind of dared them to pass it, and then HUD card goes off. 26-47, 342 yards and a touchdown. He had 1 pick. Who else was good? Shamar Rigby, like I said, he had that 1 catch for 17 yards, sitting down in the zone, finding the spot, looked like a veteran. And Rigby has, he's been, if you want to look for a true bright spot freshman, Rigby's been that all year. He's been a guy who's had 1 or 2 catches pretty much every game. That's the type of thing you want from a freshman. And, like next year, that guy's going to be great. Hopefully he's back in gold and black next year. Drew Bibber had a couple good catches. Denylon Morissette only had 1 catch for 11 yards, but he also had a drop. And I don't know if you guys noticed this. He had a drop across the middle in the 4th quarter. He got hit. He comes up and he's holding his left arm. This is macho. And I appreciate this because I'm a big wimp. And his shoulder was clearly knocked out of socket. And he just kind of swung his arm twice and pulled his shoulder back in socket and didn't pull himself out of the game. Gnarly stuff. Pretty incredible. Morissette has been solid most of the season. I appreciate that toughness. I appreciate that attitude of, don't take me out, coach. On the other side of the ball, Thieneman doing what he does. He had 11 total tackles, and the interception was taken off the board, a tackle for a loss. But he also had 2 really bad missed tackles, if we're going to be, again, we can be critical. He had a couple really bad misses early in the game, but he got it together, and he played like Dylan Thieneman. Hudson Miller has been playing great. 10 tackles and a tackle for a loss. And this is the thing. Look at this. You've got 1, 2. I mean, this is a big deal. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? 5 tackles for a loss from Purdue's defense. I'm going to get a little deeper here in a second what I think about this. But Keaton Jenkins, he had 9 total tackles, 2 for a loss. Will Helt contributed half a tackle, but he had 7 total tackles. And then Antonio Stevens had that other half of that tackle for a loss. Kerrion Grant got in the game, played a little bit, had a tackle. We haven't seen him in a while, I don't think. If we have, I don't remember it. After him starting a couple games early in the season, he hadn't done a whole bunch, and he's that guy with all the big upside and that highest rated Purdue defensive recruit in a long, long time, maybe ever, honestly. But frustrating to lose a game when you actually have fight. But the weird thing about that game, if we're going to get real deep about this, the weird thing about that game is if Purdue would have fought like that in second halves and fought when they were down, like they did in the Illinois game. So they did it twice this year, right? We saw it fight twice. Didn't see 2 wins with that, but just a fight. I think Purdue fans would be relatively pleased, not as frustrated, not as angry. Some of you have moved on to apathy. Like I said, that's the biggest enemy for a program. And it'd be a very different story if we saw that more this year. Instead, we haven't seen that. So we can't go back in the time machine, but I can tell you that's the way this team should have been playing all year, and they haven't been. And it's it's a dog water season. It is what it is. Adam P says, ugh, Ryan Lewis, disgusting football. Disgusting. That's one of the best football games we've seen this year, and they still lose. And it's a bad Michigan State team. But they fought. Like I said, they dug themselves a hole. That first half was laughably bad, except for that one drive, which I loved. The one drive that ended in a field goal. So I'm trying to be as positive and rosy as I can. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You guys heard me on Handsome Hour. Very stark, very pointed, very honestly angry and negative. And if I did that all the time, I think even the those of you who love a good, self punch in the nuts, even you guys would get sick of it. So Ben Carnahan, my buddy he's from around here, but I got to see him out in Phoenix. And just remember that second half was the outlier, not the rule. Oh, I remember. I know that, Ben. I know. Don't take this wrong, anybody. Okay. From football parents who I appreciate, you guys have been here all year. Don't take it wrong. But this season, I'm well aware. I'm not like my memory has been erased and I think different things now. I know what's happened this season. I absolutely enjoyed watching them play for a big chunk of that second half. And that's worth something to me as a season ticket holder who has dreaded some of these games this year. And then not only did I dread them, then I went to the stadium and they were worse than what I had dreaded. This was improvement. Fair weather, Greg McManus, one of the most fairest weather of all in all the land, says, hey there, happy for the guys who gave effort. Is Walt canned yet? Can't come soon enough. And I don't know when it's going to come. Ryan, Michael, Anthony Harrington, I feel so awful for our players. I had opportunities, just didn't make the plays we needed to. Mark Garrity, if you guys want to do something, when I'm down at the bottom of the comments, remind me if you want to do this. We can talk about something that's interesting. Sometimes I don't talk about this, and I don't talk about some of the interesting DMs I get because we get some interesting messages from people. Remind me about the DMs about the coaching situation at the bottom. When I get down to the point I'm about to sign off, just remind me because I'll forget. So I appreciate everybody being here. Like I said, Mike Gordon says, Boiler up, hammer down. Albuquerque Boiler says, hey, at least the weekend won't be burdened with a football defeat. We are unburdened by the past. What's that dumbass quote she used to? No, that's not what we were getting at. Ed Albany says, signs of life, but still flat. Yeah. Handel Jones says, just gutted for the players, man. I'm with you on that. I feel that. I'm right with you, Handel. Handel and I were texting each other, and if you saw my thumbnail, I hope you saw that. That took me a little time, but if you get to see it larger, I'll probably put it on Twitter because it was fun to make. But if you've seen Shawshank Redemption, you'll probably understand the reference in the thumbnail. I didn't put anything from the game, but I went a different direction. Sporting Warrior says, can't blame that on Walters. Guys got to make plays. Easy walk-in TD drop. First down drop. Can't catch and chip shot field goal. Mock fumbles early. Many plays. So you're going to put this in the players. We have a different perspective on this. I'm going to stick with laying blame at the coach's feet. Sorry, Sporting Warrior. Sorry, I'm not. I appreciate what the guys did today, but this mess is all Ryan Walters' mess. The fact that he hasn't been able to push the button psychologically for this team all year and get them to fight, that's on him. The fact that he's had some of the worst schemes and game prep I've ever seen, that's on him. The fact that he's a defensive genius and he did what he allowed what happened in the first half in this game, that's on him, right? Can we say that? Purdue was 21 points down in the first quarter, or the first half, in the first half to a very mediocre Michigan State team. 21 points down. That's our defensive genius right over there. I'm glad he was showing fight. I'm glad for all that. I wish none of this season would have gone the way it's gone, but it has gone this way, and we can't unsee it and unremember it. We can't. Kyle Tupper says, Sport Kings says, Carter's always 2 seconds late every pass, some good passes, but his decision-making is just too slow. I agree with that completely. No, you're not the only one who sees it, Sport Kings. It sounds like a betting name, so I'm not a big fan. Sorry about that screen name. But you're not the only one who sees it. I think his decision-making has been glacial, if we're being real honest. I think he's in a complete he's in a self-doubt time where he doesn't believe in anything he sees, so he doesn't make decisions quickly. He had one throwaway I can remember in the second half. I couldn't believe how shocked I was at it, right? He had the play where they called intentional grounding. There was I think Maccabee was nearby. They maybe could have gotten away with that, but it was a dumb play, and he saw that thing falling apart earlier. Throw the damn ball away when there's nothing there, man. Ed Albany says drop passes. I'm focusing on the glass being half full today, Ed. Not all of us have gummy bear money and can, do what you do. I don't have that. So I'm like my bright spots come from Purdue, sadly. That's not true. My life's not just about Purdue. Ryan Lewis says Card needs to sit. So Card just played his best game. Do I say this? It's definitely his best game since Indiana State. No doubt about it. Yeah. So, yeah, I can understand the frustration. I just think it's misplaced right now. I'm going to put it all at Walters again. Ed Albany says if Walters comes back next year, we need all new coaches, new janitors, new everything. Agreed. One sad thing about this is the same uniforms will be back next year, because I think the way it works is Nike gives you a certain amount of redesigns if you're a certain level team and you haven't generated enough money in jersey sales. I think this is how it works. They give you a redesign every couple of years, and then the other ones are on you. And so if Purdue has to redesign the uniforms, it'll be on Purdue's ticket, and they're bringing a new coach, and Purdue's a historically cheap program. I can't see them redesigning the uniforms. So instead, you're going to have this legacy uniform that no one's going to have good feelings about when they see it. So you guys know I like uniform talk. CH1 LL3RH. Definite bright spots, frustrating loss, agreed. Fairweather, Greg Manis says MSU didn't score after the half. Yeah, the defense played great second half. Michelle, how are you? She's here. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. And your son, that was a great read, great sit. He found the spot in the zone. He made the catch. And that's what he's done this year. Generally, if he gets shots to make the catch, he does. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And I appreciate what the receivers did today. I really do. I know some people are focusing on it, but yeah, he played good. He played great. So I wish he had more opportunities, and I'm sure you do too. I'm sure he does. So I know he's been open. I've noticed it, and that's the thing. After we talked early in the season, I kept an eye on him every single game, and I'm like, damn it. So, but we move on. All right, our RHCP for life says Michigan State was begging to get beaten. I agree in the second half. I agree. Yeah, Michelle says the receivers were working hard. Damn right they were. Andy Ide says Hud had the 7 seconds he needed. Yeah, they gave him time, especially in the second half. And I think Michigan State was gassed. Michigan State's defense kind of looked like Purdue's normal defense at times, where they were giving time to the quarterback and there were still holes in the defense. I mean, one thing that I saw that I was really, really loved was the check down. I mean, I like little things. Little things in life matter. And Purdue actually had the check down going. John Reinhardt says he doesn't get rid of the ball, obviously, ball to obviously open receivers. No, he doesn't. I agree, John. Big Time Boiler Grant says tonight showed there is some talent on this team. Poorly coached. Time to move on this weekend. Yeah, so this is a good point, and this is one that I've been saying, and I will continue to defend this opinion. There is talent on this team. There is a lot of talent on this team. The talent is much better than the record. And the coaching is the record. There's my opinion. Fairweather Greg Johnson says the spot on the last 4th and 1 shook my head. Yeah, it was horrible. That's Big Ten officiating, right? They had they had this real bright spot where they reviewed a catch and they made the call quickly. And I was like, sweet. But they are a Big Ten official still. Michelle says we fell short. Definitely was more exciting than usual. Yeah, right on. It was, man, it must be tough. So I get you. Must be tough. Got to be tough. From a parent's perspective, got to be tough. Adam P says TV announcers mentioned Walters spoke of the season affecting his 8 and 10-year-old kids. Can't see how anything can turn around positively when his kids are affected. Coach probably also wants out too. I feel bad for his kids in that. The worst thing, I mean, as a dad, I really feel bad because their dad is always in the public eye, right? That's a hard thing. I don't have a job like that. Nobody really cares about the type of job I do. I have never been hired to a job where I've gotten paid anywhere near that, though. And that's kind of the thing that comes with it. You're in the public eye. You have to answer the media. You're going to hear it from fans. There are some people that have gone too far. No doubt about it. I don't think I've gone too far. I hope I haven't. I know many of you think I'm a meanie. But I've kept it on the football field, and I've said, this guy has done a horrible job coaching this team, and I will stick by that. I think he is a great defensive coordinator. I think he'll go and make even more money as a defensive coordinator. But if he decides he doesn't want to do football anymore, he just wants to take care of his boys, if he decides that's what he wants to do, he's got so much money to do it. And that's kind of the risk reward of this whole thing. I feel bad for him as a dad, though, because I'm sure it's tough. I'm sure this whole thing's tough. And these are still people. These are still humans. And the worst thing is some of the stories that have gone out. There are still stories being generated about stuff that's not football related. And I have no idea if any of this is true. I just don't. And I'm saddened for everybody involved in that. I'm saddened for Ryan Walters for that. That stuff, if it's not rooted in truth, and I already said this earlier in the season. I said my piece, but I say it again. That's awful. That's awful stuff to deal with. So yeah, the announcers were horrible, by the way. They were horrible, and they did what announcers do. They make bigger deals out of everything. They were overly dramatic. And now I don't know who it was, but you get what you get. Don't throw a fit. I'm going to go. Karen Grulak, my buddy, says, thanks for a therapy session. Good to see you. I hate that we're doing therapy so much. Twice this week, Karen. That's too much. Let's see. Sorry, this thing is janky. John Reiner he says, I thought Love would have been more complimentary to Mock. He had a few moments, but not enough. Yeah, I think the good thing for Love, if I'm going to look back, if we're already now start doing a retrospective on the season, which is, I think we can start feeling that way. He's going to go through the whole season healthy. He's going to make it to the end. I feel good about that. And I don't think he did that very often at Illinois. I really was hoping for very big things from he and Mock, meaning, every game, one of them getting 100 yards, that type of season. And I thought it was really possible with the energy and what we saw last year that we'd see a carry over into this season. We haven't seen that. That stinks. Greg Johnson says coaching situation. I don't know. Is that a reference to what I asked about earlier? Fairweather, Greg Manis says, John, same on love. Jeff in San Francisco says, I think it's San Francisco, Santa Fe, SF. Announcers talked about Ryan saying he's affecting his kids. That didn't feel good. I agree. Andy Baird says, Andy Baird says, I like Friday games. Now I have all day tomorrow for not wasting Saturday watching this team. Yeah, you can watch some football tomorrow. I'm going to say something weird right now. You ready for a weird thing? I hope you're sitting. I'm rooting for IU. And I bet some of you guys are angry at me, but I don't care. I love underdogs. I love underdog stories. This is a huge underdog story. If you listen to Urban Meyer before the game, before the Purdue game, talking about Ohio State and how good they are and how IU has pretty much no chance to even be prepared for all that is Ohio State, it made me want IU to win even more. I hate Urban Meyer. He's a jerk. He's a bad person. He's shown it. I want IU to win. So you can be mad at me. It's cool. Say it in the comments. Let me know. MSP 138 says Claire and Maccabee feel like what's happening with Burrow and Chase at the Bengals. I like these parallels. Their talent is being wasted. It's turning into a sad what might have been story. Yeah, it's super sad. The great thing about both those guys is there's tomorrow for them, right? Claire, there's tomorrow for everybody. Let's be real honest about this. I think if guys want it, I think these guys that are talented, like a guy like Nyland Green, I hope has learned a lot this year. He has so many tools that were underutilized this year. The guy is really, really talented, really great athlete. And I think if he can bone up on technique, the dude could be an absolute beast. But this season, he had a great play in the first half. I can't remember exactly. It was up the right side. I can't remember it. But a guy like Nyland Green is one of those guys you're like, this guy has upside. He has potential. Both Claire and Maccabee, holy moly. We've seen it, right? They're the consistent offensive bright spots, right? All season, both of them are great. Man, I hope they're in black and gold next year. I don't know if I can do anything at all. I mean, man, hope they're in black and gold next year. Okay. Handle says, don't forget the DMs. I'm almost there, Handle. Zach Welch says, been a lifelong, huge Purdue fan, season ticket holder. I'm there with you. Stay for every painful second. Never leave early. This is where you and I depart. This year, I've left 2 games early. I'll admit it. I am not a leave early guy, but the whole thing for me was like, I was getting so enraged at games. I was like, can't do it. So I'm glad you're better than me. I didn't even know we played tonight. Apathy is set in for the program. Okay. So there you go. I did know we played tonight, and I was like, my parents came over for dinner, and we watched this game, and I told them, you don't have to stay if you don't want to, going into the thing. So, yeah. So I am not a leave early guy. I left 2 games this year early, and both games I left a quarter plus early because I was so mad. And I appreciate fans that stay. I really do. But it was about being enraged and sarcastic and snarky. And I'm a bad version of me at that point. There's no reason to let football affect your life that way. I'm a blessed man. So, I mean, yeah, so that's my perspective on this. John Reinhardt says, I will not deny you can see glimpses of positive, especially in the second half today. I don't believe it's enough time to go. Agreed. John Reinhardt says, he continues, I'm for IU as well. I'm with you. I hate IU. I can hate IU in a week. Yep, that's exactly right. And I will. That's the thing. After they beat Ohio State. So my hot take is IU by 3. But yeah, after they beat Ohio State, I can get back to my normal feelings about IU. But I will say, the 5 IU real football fans, not the people that are filling the stadium now and it took them half a season, that IU fan base, they don't deserve this team. And they can go pound sand. They're a bunch of jerks, okay? But there are 5 IU fans, 5 real IU football fans, and one of them is my friend Nick Barker. Nick Barker, you deserve this. I've been texting him and all the crap. And he asked this week, he said, if IU loses, they're still in the playoff, right? He just asked me to see my perspective because he knew it was different than his. And I said, I don't think so. I think the committee doesn't want to let IU in. And I can tell you, all the media this week has been against IU, which makes me like IU more. Whenever you have media building a case against somebody, oh man, I'm going to be all in. I'm going to push my chips and be like, that's my dude or whoever. That's my team. Media, you did this. You made an absolute IU hater love IU this week. So good job. Zach Welch says, even if football is terrible, the band is always good. That's what my mom said today. So sadly, I got to tell you, when at these games, I don't listen to the halftime show. I go and I sulk and I am in the concourse catching up with people, pals. And I don't even get to see the band. The band always sounds good. I can tell you when they sounded best. I was on the press box side of the stadium when my buddy Mike, thanks again, Mike, for giving tickets in the fancy lad area. And man, the band sounds excellent when they're projecting into the up high and those suites. Woo, doggy. That's nice stuff. The All-American marching band always wins. Right on. Okay, so talked about the DMs. This is my big finish here. So this week, I think I received 3 or 4 DMs from different people about the stories they've heard about what's coming for Walters. Okay, and the really interesting thing about the DMs. Okay, and I got them staggered: positive, negative. No, negative, positive, negative, meaning he's out, he's staying, he's out. Everyone said, good source here, good source. And then they'd follow with their story. And they say, I've got a buddy who X. I've got a family member who Y. I've got a neighbor who Z, right? All these people were close to them and they all had good reason for their story to be believable. And they could tell me that 1, Walters was definitely gone. They knew it already. 2, Walters was definitely staying. And 3, Walters was definitely gone. So if we're keeping score, that means like he's gone, right? We don't know. This is my whole point. We don't know. And I don't know. I don't have any insider information. I never do. I'm a fan who's trying to talk about this stuff. And what I can say is I'm ready to see him go. And I do not feel sorry or bad about feeling that way. And I do not have time to go through another season like this one. And I think it's going to get much worse for the program if he's back. I think it's plain and simple. Tell me how you stop this tailspin if he comes back. And you can leave your comment in the comments or live right now. You're welcome to tell me. I keep asking. Some of the trial balloons have been floated by members of the athletic department. Clearly, that has been put out there. Stuff has been put out there to see our reaction. And if my reaction hadn't been clear enough, if I haven't been clear enough as just one of the people that has somewhat of a reach, it's time. It's time. I'm a season ticket holder. I'm not a guy that makes threats. I'm not going to do that right now. But what I'm going to tell you is this is unacceptable. This is an unacceptable season. And I hope and pray we're not getting back to the bad old days where the trustees were directing the athletic director to go cheap on every turn. Because if we are, this stuff is going to happen over and over again. We are in a brand new era, a mostly bad era right now of college football, but it's still Purdue. I'm still an alum. I still want to support them. You cannot say we're not going to invest. And the TV dollars make it absolutely essential. You put that money back into the thing that makes you money. It's pretty simple business principle. Those guys, those girls know a lot more about business and learn a lot more about making money than me. But goodness, gotta let them go in this freaking thing. The sooner you end it, the better it'll be. Right now, here's the thing you can do. Here's what they should do. I'm telling you, here's what they should do. On Sunday or tonight or tomorrow, whenever, come out, Babinski. We have not seen Mike Babinski speak publicly. Come out, Mike Babinski, and say, yep, we appreciate what Ryan Walters attempted to do. I was a believer, and it didn't go the way anybody wanted it to. It's a sad ending. He's not going to be coming back. But he's going to be allowed to coach for the IU game because guess what? There's no other option, boys and girls. I keep saying this, and that's because of the staff he hired. Nothing against those young guys. They're going to be good one day. There's so many good, potentially good coaches on this staff, but they're all a little bit ahead of where they should be. They got too much of a position than they deserved. I will say, though, I think Kane has been an absolute bust as a defensive coordinator. And I think Walters has been an absolute bust as a head coach. Those two, and I could put Harrell in there, but I have a sneaky theory that Harrell was given some muddy instructions. I don't think Harrell's a good offensive coordinator. I'll just be clear about that. I don't think he is. But he was given some instructions to, coach like you, coach like what's his name? Coach like your mentors told you to coach. And then a minute later, he was told, hey, make sure you control the clock. These two things don't go together, right? When you're a pass-happy offense, and that's what you do, you pass, and you pass, and you pass. And you keep passing, right? That's what his offense was supposed to do. That's what it was advertised to do. And then we start hearing about, oh, no. We're gonna run a lot, too. That's not what you're hired to do. Sorry, Graham. So all these guys are going to get jobs elsewhere, and they're gonna have good careers, additional careers. And if they want to take this as constructive, they should. There's a lot to learn, and they can get a lot better. They're all young. There's time to get better, and somebody will hire you. I guarantee it. Don't embarrass yourself on the way out the door, but adios. That's the way I think about the whole thing. Let's see. Fort Worth Hoosier says, I look forward to the day when the bucket has national implications for both teams. So the last time truly national implications for the bucket, obviously anytime a team is in contention for a conference championship, either team, it matters, right? So Purdue playing IU to get into the Rose Bowl, which happened back in 2001. Was that 2001 or 2000 when they were playing to get in? I think it's 2000. They were in the Rose Bowl 2001, if I'm thinking correctly. But this game next week, it has national implications. The reason you know that is because I don't think they've set the TV for it yet. If they have, I've missed it, which is shocking, just like our buddy Zach Welch. It's pretty easy to become apathetic. But I don't think I've seen it. And I think that's because they're saying, well, let's see what happens in the Ohio State IU game. Because if IU wins, this is a game that everybody's going to be like, okay, there's a playoff appearance, and how high is the seed? Is IU going to go? Well, they're going to go Big Ten championship if they beat Ohio State, pretty much, I think. There's Mason Gillis playing for Duke. Still hurts. Still looks wrong. But IU and Purdue both being good at the same time and that being a national story, you have to go back to like 1968, I think. 67 and 68 are super interesting. If you want to look at the history of that, if you're into that stuff, go check it out. It's really fun. Really fun. Ed Albanese, the Gummy Bear King, says, I really hope Walters protects his family as it can not be fun to go home to such criticism. I feel sorry for his wife and kids. Yeah, I'm with you. I would, it's really hard in this era. Oh my gosh. If you get a chance, ESPN2 has the world's ugliest uniforms maybe ever. And we've seen some ugly uniforms. Hawaii is wearing something that is an absolute abomination. I don't know if these are normal. They're horrendous. They're playing UNC. Incredibly bad. Like jaw-droppingly bad. Like I can't believe someone agreed to this bad. Looks like they're an Adidas team. So that's what Adidas does. Adidas with uniforms is like, man, they're horrible. And Hawaii gave them looks like they gave them the leeway to really embarrass themselves. Adidas, you should be ashamed. Big Time Boiler asked, I dozed off. Is he fired yet? No word yet. Boilers 012, wellness check on Bobo. Have we heard from him or seen him since the season started? Well, I saw him in person a couple weeks ago. So he's doing good. Looks pretty healthy. We need to hear from him. Silence from a leader in a time that's trying like this is really crappy, right? And especially, I think he's had, man, at the beginning of the season, I was doing nothing but defending Babinski. over and over on Twitter as people got louder and louder about saying, no, don't just fire Walters, fire Babinski too. And it's gotten harder and harder to defend Babinski because of the way this has been handled. And I mean that. If the best way to handle this is to float balloons to say, hey, what about this idea? Because that's what they've been doing. Hey, what about this idea? And they use different media outlets to do it. That's not leadership, bro. That's crap. Andy Baird says 22 Big Ten West. Yep, 22 Big Ten West champs. Yep. I don't know why you're saying that, but I don't know. There's probably a good reason to say it. Fairweather, Greg Mass says Hawaii's floor and unis together are an assault on their eyes. An absolute attack. I agree. Their floor, at least, I could see that by itself looking pretty cool because green stain kind of looks like, maybe it looks like bamboo, right? Kind of. But then they have a dark green H in the middle. What the hell are they doing there? Come on, Hawaii. But those uniforms, I'm old fashioned. Dudes wearing pink and yellow and whatever color shoes. So they're wearing the Anthony Edwards shoes, many of them. And then they've got these just atrocious uniforms. Gracious. Big Time Boiler says, sorry if this is already discussed, but the proper move would be to fire Walters this weekend. I agree. I said that. Get the search out and have Conrad coach the IU game. Maybe they can rally around each other. It's not so, just to be a devil's advocate, I said fire him or say he's not going to be back next season, but he's going to coach the team. And I think some weird things can happen when team is rallying around a coach. We've seen the other way where you give a guy an interim role and it doesn't seem to go well. And the thing, honestly, there are just so few guys on this staff that have the experience to get elevated one more rung. I think they're all elevated one rung too high right now. I mean, maybe they're, like I said, I'm not putting these guys down as coaches. I'm just saying this was early. And I don't blame the coaching staff. In fact, there are many of these guys I'd like to retain. But I don't think you got play callers on this staff. I don't think you have game planners on this staff at this level. So, yeah. What do I know? Fairweather Greg Manis says they look like freaking St. Patty's Day unis. Yes, they do. They look like they're clovers. A whole field of different colored green clovers. They're awful. Alex Chatton says, do Hawaiian shirts normally look good in your opinion? No, in my opinion, they don't. But there's a time and a place for Hawaiian shirts. Okay. The tonal shirt, the tonal Hawaiian shirt you might wear on vacation has a time and a place. That can look kind of fun, clever. This is not fun or clever. This is really bad. I am mesmerized by how bad this is. Hope you get to see it. You can sound off about it. Well, last time the IU game mattered was in 22 when Purdue was playing. Gotcha, Andy. Sorry. When you're talking about Purdue going to represent the mighty Big Ten West in the Big Ten Championship. That was 2022. 2 years ago right now. Maybe you were like me and you were kind of scrambling because I think Thanksgiving was a little earlier that year. You were scrambling around to figure out, were you going to get tickets? How are you going to get tickets? That sort of thing. Purdue represented at that game. Michigan cheated. I'm convinced Michigan cheated in that championship. We have every damn reason to believe it. But Jeff Brom was usually pretty good at being clever. And Purdue looked completely like they didn't have any answer to Michigan's amazing preparation because Michigan cheated. That's why Michigan cheated. So, yeah. Was Purdue better than Michigan? Hell no. Michigan was very, very good. Purdue was solid. Good team. Michigan was great, and they did need to cheat, but they cheated over and over and over, right? Cheated to beat Ohio State. They cheated to beat Purdue. And it's documented that they sent coaches to Purdue multiple times to pick up signals and pick up play calls. And with Jeff Brom, you need to do that because some things were pretty clever. When he wanted to be, Jeff Brom was clever. We all have a bad taste in our mouth of that. All putrid smell that goes along with the Jeff Brom leaving. I'm with you on that. The way he left things, the way the academic situation was in shambles. The way that it felt because he had done it 3 times where he'd flirted with other programs. That sucks. So, yeah, I get that. But Jeff Brom was a pretty clever offensive mind, and he was a great motivator. For big games, who was freaking better than Jeff Brom getting the team elevated? I'd say nobody. So, Marshall Briggs says the announcer said said the kids have been bullied at school because Purdue's record, sex for kids. Yeah, I didn't listen to the announcers the whole thing, so that's even another step. That's awful. Again, that's awful. That's horrible. Just to be clear, that's horrible. I hope I'm being clear about all that stuff. That's awful. Oh, these uniforms are an homage to a 1960s uniform. It looked like. I've got it on mute. It doesn't make it right, Hawaii. Does not make it right. Gosh, they're bad. What a good diversion, guys. You get to hear me talk about things on TV you can't see. Fair weather. Greg Manis says 22 this time of the year. We were figuring out the scenarios to get Purdue to the game over Iowa. To the game over Iowa. Damn, my brain doesn't work as well as yours, Greg. Is that right? So I think that game was already, you can look at the calendar. You're probably looking at the calendar. You're a smart guy. So I thought we were already pretty much done by now. I don't know when Thanksgiving was. So that's the weekend of the bucket. So that was a fun game. And that was clinched by an interception, right? The bucket game was that year. IU fought. They fought. They played Purdue well. But I think it was an interception that if my brain is telling me the right thing. So, okay, that's it. I dragged this on long enough talking about Hawaii's uniforms. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. The season is almost over. And Purdue has one more chance to make things a little bit better. I agree with Big Time Boilers' idea and concept of announcing the change of direction for the football program as soon as possible. I wish it would have happened while I was on this program, but I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, yeah, there you go. Alex Chatton says, needed Iowa to lose to Nebraska on Black Friday. Yeah, and need a little bit of help. Purdue had, 8 wins that year? Is that right? I was having this discussion earlier on Twitter about how good was Jeff Brom. A lot of people don't want to give him credit for even being good. He's a good coach. He's still a good coach. He absolutely pulled a Jeff Brom special last week at Stanford. Louisville fans already angry, already running him out of town after him being a demigod and being announced like Jesus Christ coming in on a donkey. Mercy. Okay. And I'm going to go with Fairweather Greg Manis say good night now. God bless you. Hammer down, guys. Like I said, season's almost over. Let's hope. I mean, wouldn't it be great? Here's okay. My dream scenario. Here it is. I'm going to lay it out for you. They announce they're moving on from Walters. Let's say it's tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. Somehow they put out a press release. Hopefully it's Babinski coming to the mic. That'd be great. And then Purdue upsets IU after IU beats Ohio State. Now that'd be fun. And somehow IU doesn't make the playoff. I mean, how great would that be? Get to watch Ohio State's cocky asses get knocked out of the playoff because they don't deserve it with 2 losses. But everybody's already saying that's a done deal, right? But seeing Ohio State lose after them just waiting for a coronation, that'd be amazing. And then watching Purdue beat IU, number one, it'd be an absolute miracle. But here's the other thing. Again, I talked about this at the Handsome Hour. That would be Purdue doing to IU what Purdue did to Michigan State after Tucker got his mega contract. No word yet if Signetti is doing inappropriate things on Zoom calls like Tuck, dumbass. All right. Okay, the bucket. There you go. So this tells the whole thing. Bucket game in 22 was on 11/26. So we're pretty close. I think I must get partial credit. So we were already past the. Oh no. So the Iowa Nebraska. You guys are right. Sorry for hitting the mic. You guys are right. We were looking forward to the Iowa Nebraska game on Black Friday. So yep, right there. Good job, everybody. You guys are bang up. You guys are like the BS Analytics desk. So I bet this is, yeah. You're right, Handel. Passionate, stay fiery, care about it if you can. Talk to your family about ways to make things better in the Purdue football program. Discuss it. This will be a fun week to discuss it. And enjoy your family. Enjoy how blessed you are. Talk to you soon. Hammer down. We'll see you.